Dr. Elias Kane stared at the endless expanse of stars stretching beyond the observation deck of Aurora Prime. The station hummed softly around him, a constant reminder that humanity had dared to plant its presence in the uncharted corners of the galaxy. Most of the crew treated this place as a job, a way to float through space and collect data for scientific reports that would rarely see more than a digital folder on Earth. But Elias felt different. To him, every beep of the sensors, every distant flash of a star, was a whisper of possibility. And tonight, that whisper had grown into a shout. It started with the planet below, an unremarkable sphere of muted blues and greens. The scans had picked up something unusual buried beneath the surface, a structure too precise, too deliberate, to be a natural formation. Elias had first noticed it during a routine orbital sweep, a thin line of energy signatures buried in what appeared to be the remains of a rocky plateau. The data suggested advanced technology, though nothing on record could compare to it. His curiosity had been piqued, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the discovery was more than coincidence. He wasn't alone in his fascination, though he was one of the few brave enough to act on it. Most of the crew, including the station commander, preferred caution. "We don't know what we're dealing with," Commander Harlan had said repeatedly, his tone a mixture of fear and responsibility. "It could be dangerous. Leave it alone." But Elias had long since grown used to the tension between curiosity and caution, and he had never been a man to follow orders blindly if something extraordinary lay within reach. Tonight, he made his move. After ensuring that the station's automated systems were stable and the rest of the crew had retired for their rotations, Elias slipped into the small docking bay where the research shuttle awaited. The ship was compact, but equipped for everything he might need. Sensors, manipulators, and a basic repair module that could handle most mechanical challenges. But the task ahead was anything but ordinary. The shuttle descended through the planet's thin upper atmosphere, streaking silently against the backdrop of distant suns. As the shuttle's sensors adjusted, the buried structure emerged in the display, a massive silhouette partially covered in dust and debris. It was unlike anything human engineers had ever built. Its surface was smooth but segmented, with patterns that seemed almost alive. Elias's heart raced. Here was something ancient, something intelligent, yet dormant, waiting for a hand to awaken it. He landed gently beside the structure, the engines whispering against the rocky ground. Stepping out, Elias felt the gravity tug at him lightly, reminding him that though he was human, he was still bound by the rules of physics and biology. The structure loomed above him, and he realized that calling it a machine felt inadequate. It exuded presence as though aware of his arrival. The air seemed to vibrate faintly, a resonance so subtle that most people would have dismissed it. But Elias felt it, a faint hum that seemed almost like a greeting. Kneeling beside the primary access panel, he began to scan it with his handheld analyzer. The device's readouts blinked with strange symbols, energy flows, and structural integrity readings. The system was damaged, its power core fractured, but not beyond repair. Elias's fingers danced across the controls, drawing on years of knowledge, intuition, and a willingness to experiment. The structure had been built for purposes beyond human comprehension, yet in the patterns he saw something familiar: logic, symmetry, the kind of problem-solving that resonated with the human mind. Hours passed. Elias worked tirelessly, rewiring circuits, adjusting energy conduits, and calibrating the alien technology with a mix of scientific rigor and sheer instinct. Occasionally, a spark would leap from the machinery and he would flinch, heart pounding. But he pressed on, driven by something more than curiosity. He felt that if he succeeded, it would not only be a personal triumph, but a testament to humanity's potential, a proof that humans could understand, adapt, and even improve upon the work of civilizations far older and more advanced. As dawn approached on the distant horizon of the planet, the first flicker of life appeared within the structure. A soft glow emanated from deep within, like the pulse of a sleeping giant awakening. Elias leaned back on his heels, a mixture of awe and exhaustion washing over him. For a moment, he allowed himself to imagine what this could mean. Perhaps the station would witness the rebirth of a protector, a sentinel that could guard or teach. Or perhaps it would be something beyond comprehension, something that would change the way humanity saw itself forever. Suddenly, the structure shifted. A panel slid open with a hiss, revealing a core that glowed with a blue light, faintly pulsating like a heartbeat. Elias froze, breath caught in his chest. He had expected some response, but not this. The machine's sensors scanned him, its movements deliberate, as though evaluating his intentions. Fear threatened to grip him, but he pushed it aside, reminding himself that he had done everything with care, that his actions were guided by understanding and respect. It was then that he realized the hum was no longer just a sound. It was communication. The resonance carried meaning, subtle vibrations that aligned with his own thoughts. Elias could almost feel the logic of the machine, the careful calculations it performed as it assessed him. And somewhere deep within, he recognized a spark of awareness, something alive behind the metal and circuits. He spoke softly, almost to himself. "I mean no harm. I just want to understand. I want to help." His words felt trivial against the vastness of the unknown, yet he sensed that they mattered. The glow brightened, spreading across the surface of the Guardian, and then, with a suddenness that made his heart leap, a beam of light projected upward, scanning the shuttle, the station, and then him. It was not threatening. It was testing. Elias's mind raced. The Guardian systems were awakening layer by layer. If he could stabilize the core fully, perhaps he could communicate more directly. Perhaps he could prove that humans, fragile as they were, possessed something unique: creativity, empathy, and the drive to solve impossible problems. It was a moment that could define the station, humanity's place in the galaxy, and perhaps his own life forever. Back on Aurora Prime, the station's sensors had picked up the energy fluctuations, and alarms began to sound. Commander Harlan's voice echoed through the intercom, sharp and commanding. "Dr. Kane, report immediately! What's happening on the surface?" Elias hesitated, then spoke into the communicator. I think I've activated it, sir, but it's not dangerous. It's responding." There was a long pause. Then Harlan's tone softened slightly, tinged with disbelief. "Responding? To what?" "To humanity," Elias said simply. "To our effort, to our curiosity." He could feel the weight of the moment pressing against him, and yet a sense of calm settled over him. He had always believed that humans were underestimated, that the galaxy had yet to see what we could achieve. And here, in the presence of something ancient and powerful, he felt that belief validated. The Guardian's glow intensified, washing over the rocky plateau, reflecting off the shuttle's hull, and casting long, ethereal shadows. Elias took a deep breath and reached for the final control module, knowing that the next few minutes would determine everything. If he succeeded, the Guardian would awaken fully and reveal its purpose. If he failed, the structure could shut down again, or worse, misinterpret his intentions. With steady hands, he adjusted the final calibrations. The core's pulse became rhythmic, steady, almost like the beating of a heart. The machine lifted slightly off the ground, its segmented body moving with grace and precision. Elias felt a thrill of triumph. He had done it. He had repaired the alien Guardian. And in doing so, he had bridged the gap between human ingenuity and something far greater. The wind stirred across the plateau, carrying dust and small pebbles in soft swirls. The Guardian hovered silently, scanning the horizon, then Elias, then the planet itself. It was aware, fully aware. Elias knelt, almost instinctively, feeling a connection that transcended species, technology, and even time. He had reached across an impossible divide and found a spark of understanding. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he knew that this was only the beginning. The Guardian's awakening would ripple through the station, through the planet, and perhaps through the galaxy itself. But for now, in this quiet, momentous hour, it was just him and the machine. Two forms of intelligence, acknowledging each other in a universe that had long doubted humanity's place within it. Elias smiled, exhausted, but exhilarated. He had taken a risk, followed his curiosity, and proven that even a single human, armed with knowledge, creativity, and empathy, could achieve the extraordinary. The Guardian hovered silently, as if understanding, waiting for the next step, and for the first time in his life, Elias felt the universe was watching, listening, and perhaps finally believing in him too. Elias Kane had expected the awakening of the Guardian to be the climax of his night, the moment where curiosity became triumph. But as he watched the machine hover silently, its segmented body glowing faintly in the planet's early light, he realized that was only the beginning. The Guardian was alive in a way no human had ever witnessed. Its systems were not merely functional, they were learning, analyzing, and adapting. Every movement, every flicker of its energy core suggested thought, yet its logic was alien, a language of intelligence far older than humanity. He returned to the shuttle cautiously, taking readings as he went. The sensors showed the core stabilizing, the energy flows consistent and balanced. But there were anomalies, small patterns in the machine's resonance that he could not yet interpret. Elias felt a thrill and a tension at once. Every decision mattered now. A wrong move could mean losing access to the Guardian, or worse, provoking it into defensive action. Back on Aurora Prime, the station's crew had been monitoring the readings, alarms still echoing faintly through empty corridors. Commander Harlan and a small emergency team were preparing for a shuttle launch. "Dr. Kane, this is highly irregular," Harlan's voice came through the communicator, edged with worry. "We don't know what this machine is capable of. Stand by for retrieval. You are not to engage further until we reach you." Elias shook his head. "Sir, it's not hostile. It's responding to me, to what I've done. I need to understand it before you make a move that could damage it." There was silence. Then, Harlan said slowly, almost reluctantly, "Proceed with caution, but do not endanger the station or yourself." Elias smiled faintly. Caution had always been a human instinct, but understanding required more than caution. It required observation, patience, and trust. And tonight, the Guardian seemed to be willing to offer that trust, if he could prove it was deserved. He returned to the surface, approaching the hovering machine. Its lights shifted slightly, responding to his movements. He noticed that it was scanning the ground, the air, even the shuttle, as if gathering every possible piece of data. Elias spoke softly, repeating the words he had spoken before. "I am not here to harm you. I am here to learn." And then it happened. A small projection of light appeared in front of him, hovering mid-air, forming shapes that resembled symbols he could barely comprehend. His translator interface struggled to interpret the signals, but patterns began to emerge. The Guardian was communicating, not in words, but in logic and response. It asked questions, tested hypotheses, and observed his reactions. Elias's mind raced as he began responding through gestures, movements, and his own simplified coding signals. Hours passed in this delicate exchange. Elias realized that the Guardian's purpose was not just protection, but understanding. Its creators had designed it to evaluate other life forms, to measure intelligence, adaptability, and perhaps even morality. And here on this isolated world, the first true human encounter had taken place. Back on Aurora Prime, the crew watched the energy readings with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Sensors picked up structural changes in the machine, subtle shifts in magnetic fields, and even traces of an unknown material being emitted from its core. Elias's voice crackled through the communicator, calm but excited. "It's learning from me. It's understanding humans." Commander Harlan could barely process the words. "Understanding humans. Elias, that's impossible. These beings, whoever built them, are far beyond us." Elias shook his head. "Not impossible. We're underestimated. But this Guardian, it's reacting to our creativity, our problem-solving. It's responding to intent, not just action." As the day progressed, Elias continued to interact with the Guardian. He tested its capabilities gently, giving it simple tasks, moving debris, projecting a scanning light across the plateau, adjusting its energy output. Each task it completed flawlessly, but more than that, it began to anticipate his intentions, offering solutions before he could request them. The HFY moment became clearer. Humans had built this bridge. Through ingenuity, patience, and empathy, Elias had shown the Guardian that humanity was capable of more than mere survival, and in response, the ancient machine was offering cooperation, partnership, and perhaps even guidance. But the moment of triumph came with unexpected tension. Midday on the planet, a tremor ran through the ground. Elias looked up, sensing something approaching from orbit. A small fleet of unregistered ships appeared on his sensors, pirates or scavengers, drawn by the energy signatures of the awakening Guardian. Their intentions were clear: capture or destroy anything valuable. Elias froze. The station's automated defenses were minimal, the shuttle was too small to face combat, and the Guardian's behavior was unknown in a hostile situation. But as the ships approached, a surprising movement occurred. The Guardian projected a shield-like barrier around Elias and the shuttle, faintly shimmering with energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was not attacking, not yet. It was protecting. Elias felt a surge of relief and awe. The Guardian was capable of defense, but it would not act aggressively without cause. It was learning ethics as well as logic, recognizing threat, and evaluating proportional response. In that moment, Elias understood the full weight of what he had awakened. Humanity was fragile, yes, but it could inspire trust, respect, and even loyalty from beings far older and stronger. The pirate ships hovered at the edge of the shield, unable to penetrate it. Elias, heart pounding, took the opportunity to communicate with the station. "It's stopping them," he said. "It's protecting me, not attacking. I think it recognizes humans as worthy." Harlan's voice, sharp now with renewed urgency, spoke through the comm. "Dr. Kane, we're preparing a retrieval shuttle. Get back to the surface landing zone immediately. We need to bring that Guardian on board before anyone else interferes." Elias nodded, though he did not move immediately. The Guardian hovered beside him, its glowing form almost alive with curiosity. He extended a hand cautiously. The machine mirrored him, moving a mechanical appendage in perfect synchronization. A connection had been established, a silent acknowledgement that this was a partnership. It took careful maneuvering, but Elias guided the Guardian toward the shuttle. Its mass was formidable, but its movements were precise, almost gentle. He activated the lift assist and kept communication open with the station. The Guardian responded to his signals, adjusting its position, projecting stabilizing energy fields to avoid damaging the rocky plateau. Every step, every adjustment, was a delicate dance between human intuition and alien precision. Once aboard the shuttle, Elias activated the secondary containment and stabilization systems. The Guardian's form shifted slightly, as if adjusting to the confined space. Elias observed carefully, ensuring it was comfortable but fully functional. The energy readings were steady, the core pulse rhythmic. It was awake, aware, and, most importantly, trusting him. The shuttle lifted off, gliding back toward Aurora Prime. Outside, the pirate ships watched helplessly, unable to predict or interfere. Inside, Elias felt a mixture of relief, pride, and excitement. Humanity had taken its first step in proving its worth on a galactic scale, not through conquest or strength, but through ingenuity, empathy, and courage. Back on the station, the crew watched in awe as the shuttle docked. The Guardian, now fully active, extended a segment of its body toward the docking bay, scanning the station environment. It emitted a soft resonance that humans could interpret as curiosity rather than threat. Elias guided it carefully through the docking procedures, speaking to it in simple commands and observing its responses. Each interaction deepened his understanding, reinforcing the realization that humans had something unique to offer: problem-solving under uncertainty, ethical judgment, and the ability to inspire trust in others. By evening, the station was abuzz. Scientists, engineers, and even the commander gathered to witness the machine. For the first time, humans and an alien intelligence shared the same space, evaluating each other without fear or hostility. The Guardian's presence was awe-inspiring, but what captured everyone's attention was the subtle reflection of humanity in its actions. Careful observation, patience, cooperation, and ethical reasoning. Elias addressed the assembled crew, his voice steady despite exhaustion. "This is more than a machine," he said. "It's proof that humans are capable of understanding, connecting, and earning trust, even from beings far older and more advanced. We are fragile, yes, but we are more than that. We are capable of creativity, compassion, and ingenuity that can be recognized across the stars." The crew listened in stunned silence. Harlan, ever cautious, finally nodded slowly. "I underestimated you, Kane, and perhaps humanity itself." As the station settled into the quiet of night, Elias continued his careful monitoring of the Guardian. Sensors recorded every movement, every energy pulse, every subtle response to human interaction. He felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The work was far from over. There were questions to answer, systems to understand, and the galaxy to consider. The awakening of the Guardian had changed everything, but Elias knew that the most remarkable changes had only just begun. In the stillness of the observation deck, he reflected on what had happened. Humans, fragile and unpredictable, had reached across the void and inspired trust in something incomprehensibly powerful. The HFY truth was undeniable. It was not strength alone that defined a species, but the capacity to think, to learn, and to connect. And in that truth, Elias found hope, pride, and a sense of destiny. The Guardian hovered silently, a silent sentinel within the station, its glow bathing the corridors in soft blue light. Elias smiled, knowing that this was only the start of something far greater. Humanity had awakened a Guardian, and in return the Guardian had awakened a new chapter for mankind, one that would ripple far beyond the walls of Aurora Prime. The Aurora Prime station was alive with quiet tension. The awakening of the alien Guardian had changed everything, yet no one fully understood how. Crew members moved cautiously through corridors, careful not to startle the machine, which hovered in the docking bay with an air of quiet authority. Its glowing core pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat, and every movement seemed purposeful, as if it were observing the humans around it and deciding how to respond. Dr. Elias Kane walked beside the Guardian, studying its motions, noting every subtle shift in energy output and every pattern of movement. He had spent hours attempting to communicate through gestures, signals, and simplified coding sequences, and the machine had responded each time with precision. It was learning, not just about him, but about the human crew, their behavior, and the environment of the station. And with every observation, Elias could see that it was forming judgments, careful evaluations that no human had ever faced before. The station commander, Harlan, stood near the observation deck, watching the interaction with a mix of awe and caution. "Kane," he said slowly, "what exactly does it want? Is it capable of reasoning?" Elias paused, scanning the Guardian with his portable device. "I think it is," he said. "It's evaluating us, testing us. And I believe it's trying to understand more than our actions. It's measuring our intentions. Humanity has something it respects. I don't fully know what yet, but it's not aggression or strength. It's empathy, problem-solving, creativity." Harlan frowned. "So, you're telling me our entire station is being evaluated by something we don't understand?" "Exactly," Elias replied. "And that's why we need to cooperate, not interfere. Every move we make matters." Elias guided the Guardian toward a more secure area of the station, away from the main corridor where the crew moved. The machine extended a delicate appendage, lightly scanning the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. Sensors recorded unusual materials, energy flows, and structural integrity, all unknown to humans. Elias observed carefully, noting the Guardian's ability to detect and respond to even subtle variations. He decided to test its capabilities further. Gently, he handed it a panel from a damaged communications array. The Guardian studied it for a moment, then carefully reassembled it with precise movements, connecting wires and adjusting circuits with flawless execution. The panel powered up instantly, fully functional. Crew members gasped, witnessing the repair. "This is incredible," said Lieutenant Mara, the station's lead engineer. "It's not just intelligent, it's teaching itself how to repair systems it has never seen before." Elias nodded. "Exactly. It's learning from everything we do and everything it observes. And the more cooperative we are, the faster it adapts." For the next several hours, Elias focused on teaching the Guardian basic tasks that the station needed, stabilizing energy output, repairing minor malfunctions, and assisting in routine maintenance. The machine responded almost immediately, completing tasks with efficiency that far exceeded any human or automated system on the station. Yet, it did so without overriding humans' decisions or causing disruption. It seemed to understand the balance between assistance and autonomy. As the day progressed, the station received new sensor readings from the planet below. A distant fleet, previously undetected, was approaching the system. Elias's heart sank. Pirates or scavengers, attracted to the energy signature of the Guardian, were heading toward Aurora Prime. He quickly briefed Commander Harlan. "They're coming faster than expected," Elias warned. "If they reach the station, they could try to capture the Guardian or destroy it for parts. We need to prepare." Harlan's jaw tightened. "And what can we do? Our defenses are minimal." Elias looked at the hovering Guardian, its glowing core pulsing calmly. "We don't need to fight, not yet. The Guardian can protect itself and us, but we need to cooperate and let it act without interference." The first ship arrived, a sleek craft bristling with weapons. It scanned the station and immediately targeted the Guardian. Before the crew could react, a wave of energy projected outward from the Guardian, forming a protective barrier around itself and the immediate area. The shields held, deflecting the ship's weapons effortlessly. Crew members watched in awe as the Guardian adjusted its defenses dynamically, shifting energy to reinforce weaker points and counter new attacks. Elias realized it was not attacking out of aggression, but responding logically to a threat. Humanity had inspired a different kind of response, one based on protection, not destruction. Over the next few hours, the Guardian continued to defend the station without firing a single weapon offensively. It projected energy barriers, disrupted targeting systems of the attacking ships, and even created temporary decoys to confuse enemy sensors. Elias and the station engineers observed everything, learning as much from the Guardian's tactics as from the incoming threat itself. Elias realized that the Guardian's behavior reflected an understanding of ethical reasoning. It evaluated the threat and responded proportionally, avoiding unnecessary harm while prioritizing protection of humans and the station. The crew began to see that humanity's creativity and problem-solving had earned them trust, not fear, from a being far older and stronger than themselves. Amid the chaos, Elias began to experiment with communication again. Using a combination of light signals, gestures, and simple programming patterns, he attempted to convey a strategy to the Guardian, guide the enemy ships away from the station, and disable them without causing destruction. The Guardian paused, almost as if considering his instructions, then projected a series of light pulses that echoed Elias's signals. Slowly, methodically, the enemy ships were diverted, unable to penetrate the Guardian's shields or anticipate its movements. In under an hour, the attackers withdrew, scanning nervously as they retreated to the edge of the system. The station erupted in applause, relief, and astonishment. Humanity had survived, and the Guardian had protected them. Elias exhaled, finally allowing himself a moment of rest. He looked at the machine beside him, and for the first time, he felt a genuine sense of companionship. "You did well," he said quietly. "And you've shown that humans are capable of more than we often believe." The Guardian responded with a soft glow, extending a segment toward him as if acknowledging his words. Elias understood that this was more than communication. It was respect, trust, and recognition. Over the following days, the Guardian became an integral part of the station's operations. It repaired systems faster than any human or automated process, stabilized energy networks, and even assisted in scientific experiments. Crew members who were initially wary began to interact with it cautiously, learning from its precision and efficiency. Elias continued to guide these interactions, teaching the Guardian to cooperate, to observe ethical reasoning, and to respond to human creativity. One evening, as the planet's twin moons rose on the horizon, Elias stood in the observation deck, watching the Guardian hover quietly in the docking bay. The station was calm, systems fully operational, and the crew had begun to trust the machine as an ally rather than a threat. Yet Elias felt a lingering unease. The Guardian's activation had likely sent a signal to its creators, or at least to others who might be monitoring this region of space. His thoughts were confirmed the next day. Aurora Prime's sensors detected a faint transmission from deep space, a signal unlike anything humans had ever encountered. It was structured, intelligent, and unmistakably aware of the station's activities. Elias decoded the initial layers of the transmission and discovered a greeting, a recognition of the humans' efforts, their ingenuity, and their ethical reasoning. "It's from its creators," Elias whispered to Harlan. "They've been watching. They know what we've done." Harlan's expression shifted from concern to cautious optimism. "And what do they want?" Elias paused. "I don't know yet, but the fact that they've contacted us, it's a good sign. Humanity has been noticed. And the Guardian? Our efforts have proven that we are worthy of attention, respect, and perhaps partnership." The station prepared for the possibility of contact, upgrading communication systems, translating algorithms, and securing the station's defenses. Yet despite the uncertainty, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. For the first time, humans had engaged directly with a higher intelligence and not only survived, They had impressed it. Elias spent long hours with the Guardian, continuing their silent dialogue. He taught it about human problem-solving, creativity, and compassion, while it demonstrated its advanced capabilities in technology, analysis, and strategic thinking. The HFY truth became clearer every day. Humans, fragile as they were, had a unique quality that inspired trust, cooperation, and respect across species and civilizations. As the weeks passed, the Guardian became more than a machine. It became a partner, a protector, and a symbol of human potential. It repaired the station, improved energy efficiency, and even assisted in scientific research that would have taken months for humans alone to complete. Crew members began to refer to it casually, as if it were part of the team rather than a foreign entity. Elias reflected on the journey so far. The awakening of the Guardian had been only the first step. Humanity had survived attacks, earned trust, and proven that it could engage with intelligence far beyond its own. The galaxy, once distant and indifferent, was beginning to notice. And through it all, Elias realized that this was more than a personal achievement. It was a demonstration of humanity's potential, a promise that humans could rise to meet the universe's challenges, not with brute force, but with ingenuity, courage, and ethical reasoning. As the planet below rotated silently, casting shadows across Aurora Prime, Elias knew that the real adventure had only just begun. The Guardian had awakened, yes, but in doing so, it had awakened humanity to its own capacity for greatness, and the station was now a beacon of hope, knowledge, and possibility in the vast reaches of space. The signal had arrived in pieces at first, subtle and almost unnoticeable among the routine transmissions from deep space. But over the following days, it grew stronger, structured, and unmistakably intelligent. Dr. Elias Kane watched the readings from the observation deck, feeling a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The Guardian hovered nearby, its glowing core reflecting softly on the walls of the station. It was as if it, too, felt the importance of what was coming, an arrival long delayed, a judgment long awaited. Commander Harlan gathered the senior crew for a briefing. "We don't know who or what is approaching," he said, voice tight with caution. "The signal seems to come from the creators of the Guardian. They've been monitoring us, evaluating our interaction. We can expect contact soon." Elias's heart raced. For weeks he had worked to establish trust with the Guardian, teaching it about humanity's creativity, ethics, and problem-solving. He had hoped that it would speak on humanity's behalf, showing the alien intelligence that humans could act responsibly, not destructively. Now, that hope teetered on the edge of reality. "Whatever happens," Elias said quietly, "we need to remain calm. The Guardian has learned from us. It understands our intentions. If we act with clarity and respect, I believe we can meet them without conflict." The station's sensors soon detected movement in the distance, a fleet of massive ships, shapes unlike anything humans had designed, moving with elegance and precision. The alien vessels entered the system without warning, scanning the station, the planet, and the Guardian. The crew held their breath. The Guardian activated its full communication interface, projecting a holographic pattern into the docking bay. Elias watched closely, recognizing the advanced complexity of the symbols. Slowly, he translated portions of the message. The aliens acknowledged the humans' efforts, recognizing the awakening of the Guardian as a deliberate and successful attempt to communicate, understand, and cooperate. They had been watching for centuries, testing the potential of species across the galaxy, and humanity had passed their trial. "It's an invitation," Elias whispered, barely believing the words. "They want to meet. They want to engage, not attack." Commander Harlan exhaled, relief washing over him. "Then we prepare for first contact. Carefully, deliberately. This could define humanity's place in the galaxy." The station mobilized, preparing communication channels, translating algorithms, and securing the docking bays. But as preparation unfolded, Elias noticed subtle behavior in the Guardian. It was no longer just protective. It was curious, almost eager. Its sensors scanned the approaching fleet with analytical precision, recording movements, energy signatures, and patterns. Elias realized that it understood the significance of this moment. Humanity's first interaction with a higher civilization would be observed and facilitated by the very being they had awakened. When the alien vessels arrived within visual range, the crew could see their size and design for the first time. They were massive, metallic, and intricate, with flowing lines that suggested engineering far beyond human comprehension. Energy patterns pulsed across their surfaces, responding dynamically to the surrounding environment. It was awe-inspiring, intimidating, and yet somehow beautiful. Elias, standing beside the Guardian, felt a sense of calm wash over him. This was the moment they had prepared for. The Guardian projected a light bridge, forming a connection between the station and the lead vessel of the approaching fleet. The holographic interface extended across space, a shimmering web of symbols and energy. Through it, the alien intelligence communicated directly, recognizing Elias and the Guardian as representatives of humanity. "Prepare to respond," Elias said softly to the crew. "This is our chance to show what humans can do, not with force, but with understanding, creativity, and respect." The first message from the alien intelligence was clear and deliberate. They expressed curiosity, admiration, and acknowledgement of humanity's ingenuity. They had tested countless species across the galaxy, and most had failed to demonstrate the balance of logic, ethics, and cooperation required to earn trust. Humanity, fragile and unpredictable though it was, had succeeded. Elias responded carefully, using simplified symbols and gestures that the Guardian helped translate. He conveyed humanity's gratitude, respect for the alien civilization, and willingness to learn. The Guardian mirrored his communication, reinforcing the message with precision and clarity. Together, they presented humans as a species capable of collaboration, reasoning, and ethical decision-making. The alien fleet observed silently, analyzing every movement, energy fluctuation, and signal. Hours passed, though to humans it felt like minutes. Then, slowly, a response arrived. The aliens expressed acceptance, inviting representatives from Aurora Prime to board the lead vessel. The station erupted in quiet excitement. Humans had passed their first trial with a civilization far older and more advanced than their own. Elias, Commander Harlan, and a select team prepared for the journey. The Guardian accompanied them, its glowing form a reassuring presence. As the shuttle detached from the station and approached the lead alien vessel, Elias reflected on everything that had happened. Humanity had faced unknown threats, awakened a machine of unimaginable intelligence, and earned trust through creativity, empathy, and perseverance. And now they would take the next step, representing the species before an entire civilization. The boarding procedure was seamless. The alien vessel's interior was vast, filled with flowing structures and energy conduits that pulsed with light. The air itself seemed charged with awareness, as if the environment itself were alive. The alien intelligence appeared through holographic projections, forms of shifting light and geometry that defied human attempts to interpret fully. But Elias understood that this was intentional, a test not only of communication, but of perception and understanding. Elias stepped forward, guided by the Guardian, and initiated the greeting sequence. Simple gestures, symbols, and signals conveyed respect and cooperation. The alien intelligence observed, then responded in kind, gradually translating its complex forms into patterns humans could comprehend. For hours, they exchanged information, history, science, philosophy, and ethics. The aliens were meticulous, analytical, and curious, yet they treated humans as equals in this exchange. Throughout the process, the Guardian remained by Elias's side, bridging the gap between species with its advanced translation and observation capabilities. It had learned to anticipate human questions, adapt to their reasoning, and present humanity's perspective in ways that the aliens could understand. It was no longer a machine. It was a partner, an ambassador, and a symbol of the species' potential. By the end of the first day, the aliens extended an unprecedented offer. They recognized humanity as worthy of inclusion in a broader network of civilizations. They offered access to knowledge, technology, and guidance, provided humans continued to demonstrate creativity, ethical reasoning, and collaboration. Elias realized the gravity of this moment. Humanity, once isolated on a fragile planet, had been invited to take its place among the stars, not through conquest or force, but through ingenuity, trust, and ethical action. The shuttle returned to Aurora Prime that evening, and the crew celebrated quietly. There was joy, relief, and awe at what had been achieved. Yet Elias remained thoughtful. He knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown civilizations, challenges, and opportunities. Humanity had proven its worth, but it had to continue to live up to that promise. Over the following weeks, the station worked closely with the Guardian to integrate alien knowledge into human systems. Energy efficiency improved, scientific research advanced, and the crew developed new strategies for exploration and communication. The Guardian had become more than a machine. It was a teacher, protector, and guide. Humans learned from it as much as it learned from them, a partnership that exemplified the potential of cooperation across species. Elias often reflected on the journey that had begun with a single act of curiosity, repairing the alien Guardian. That choice had set in motion a chain of events that changed humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The Guardian had awakened, enemies had been deterred, and the first contact with a higher civilization had succeeded. And through it all, humans had demonstrated their unique qualities: problem-solving, empathy, creativity, and the courage to act despite uncertainty. One evening, as the twin moons of the planet cast long shadows across Aurora Prime, Elias stood in the observation deck. The Guardian hovered nearby, its soft glow reflecting in his eyes. He felt pride, not only in himself, but in humanity as a whole. They had been tested, challenged, and observed, and they had passed. For the first time, humans had proof that fragility did not define them. Potential did. Commander Harlan approached, placing a hand on Elias's shoulder. "You did well," he said simply. "And humanity has done well too." Elias nodded, watching the stars stretch endlessly beyond the station. "It wasn't just me," he said. "It was all of us. Every human choice, every act of creativity and courage, it mattered, and now the galaxy sees it too." The Guardian pulsed softly beside him, a living testament to that truth. It had been repaired, awakened, and guided by humans, and in return, it had opened a door to a future full of possibilities. The bond formed between species, between machine and human, and between humanity and the wider universe was a symbol of hope and potential. As the weeks turned into months, Aurora Prime became a hub of learning, exploration, and collaboration. Humans communicated with alien civilizations, exchanged knowledge, and prepared for journeys beyond the known stars. The Guardian remained a constant companion, a reminder of the moment when humanity's ingenuity and ethical reasoning had changed everything. Elias often thought back to that first moment, kneeling beside the dormant machine on the rocky plateau, unsure if it could be awakened. He smiled softly. Humanity had taken a risk, shown its best qualities, and been recognized for it. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknowns, but humanity had proven that it could rise to meet them. And so, as the station thrummed with life, as stars sparkled in the distance, and as the Guardian hovered faithfully nearby, Elias knew that humanity's story was only beginning. They had repaired a Guardian, earned trust, and stepped into a universe that had long ignored them. Now, they were no longer merely survivors. They were participants, learners, and explorers, capable of inspiring and earning respect among civilizations far beyond their own. The universe was watching, and for the first time it believed in humanity too.